You said repeatedly. I know it. I didn't have contact. I didn't know her. I had no, I didn't kiss her. I didn't touch her. I didn't have sex with her. And we asked in different ways. We asked it multiple times. I've been told not to say stuff. And, with it, I can't do this. I can't, I trust you guys. I can't. If this bites me in the ass, or if this is not what I'm supposed to do, then whatever. I'm giving. I slept with her.
Lawyer or not? You said that you should have a lawyer.
Yeah, I want a lawyer. Okay.
To understand how his own boss ended the coldest case in Whatcom County history, we need to go back to November of 1989 and to an 18-year-old girl named Mandy Stavik.
My sister loved animals, and she loved cats and horses. It was our one thing that we really connected with was horses. He was very confident and happy kid. She had lots of friends, and she was very active.
Mandy Stavik was born in Anchorage, Alaska on April 16, 1971. The youngest of four, a winter baby who grew up on horseback in the snow, tying sleds to her older sister Molly's horse and taking turns being pulled around the yard.
Mom was home and Dad worked. In 1974, my parents divorced, and my mom moved out and took with her Mandy and left me and Mary Alice and Brent with our father, Clint.
When Mandy was 3 years old, her parents divorced. The family split in half. Her three older siblings stayed with their father in Alaska. For the next 9 years, it was just the two of them. A mother and a daughter, a team. In 1983, her mother moved them both from Alaska to a small rural community in northwest Washington called Acme. Farmland, back roads. The kind of place Doug, who would soon become Mandy's band director, described this way.
Acme is a safe place to raise a family. It's a rural community. A lot of people live on farms down in the Acme Valley, probably populated by what you might call hippies, a little bit back to the earth.
12 years old, new state, new school, new everything, and Mandy bloomed. She joined Mount Baker High School in the fall of 1983 and played saxophone in the school band.
Mandy was very confident and happy kid. She had lots of friends, and she was very active.
Doug, her band director from the day she walked into Mount Baker, watched her grow up from a 7th grade saxophonist to an 18-year-old graduate. When he describes her, he still uses the present tense.
Mandy's personality, I would say vivacious. She was a hard worker at everything she did. When she committed to something, she really committed to it, and succeeded at so much of what she did too.
One of those friends was a boy named Ken Gates, 17 years old in 1989. Another Mount Baker kid. He sat near her in class. He watched her play basketball games in the same gym where her picture would, years later, hang on a memorial plaque. Decades after that last school year, Ken Gates, by then a detective, would be asked to describe.
I was 17. We all hung out with Mandy. We all knew Mandy. I was attending the same school that she did, Mount Baker High School, and our dads helped.
Spring of 1989, the graduation aisle. That was the last time Ken Gates ever saw her alive. In the fall of that same year, Mandy enrolled at Central Washington University. She had a longtime boyfriend named Rick Zender. They exchanged letters back and forth across the state. Doug, her old band director, remembers her leaving for college.
Mandy was ready to take on the world. She just had everything going for her, and she knew where she wanted to go, and she was ready to pursue it.
Thanksgiving 1989. Mandy came home for the holiday and brought her college roommate with her. The family ate dinner together on Thursday night. On Friday morning, the day after Thanksgiving, they had leftovers and pumpkin pie. The plan for that Friday afternoon was simple. Mandy and her roommate would go for a walk together. Then Mandy would take her usual 4-mile run down Strand Road with the family's German Shepherd, Kyra. Then they would all get ready to go see a movie that night. Around 2:30 in the afternoon on November 24th, 1989, Mandy tied her shoes. She called for Kyra. She stepped out the front door. 12 years earlier, a single mother had carried her 3-year-old daughter out of Alaska to start a new life. 18 years earlier, that daughter had been born under the Northern Lights. 2:30 on the afternoon of November 24th, 1989 was the last moment either of them would ever breathe the same air.
And I haven't been able to sleep, and you remember all the things you read in the paper there. The Ted Bundy and the Green River killings and all of these terrible things, and all you can think of is it doesn't happen to you, or it doesn't happen.
2:30 in the afternoon on Strand Road, a flat country road through the Acme Valley, fields on either side, the Nooksack River waiting at the far end. Mandy had run this route 100 times. 4 to 5 miles, an easy, flat out and back. Her mother, Mary, sometimes rode a bicycle alongside her. 3 witnesses saw her go by: a neighbor, a family friend who had pulled into their own driveway specifically to wait for Mandy to jog past, and her younger brother Lee, who had spotted her at a house just down the road from their own. Lee was the last family member to see her alive. The friend in the driveway kept waiting. Mandy never arrived. The next thing that happened at the Stavik home on Strand Road was the sound of the dog coming back. Kyra, a full-grown German Shepherd, protective, strong, Mandy's companion. She came back alone. Her hindquarters were covered in silt. She was limping slightly. She was not herself.
I do remember my mom calling me and telling me that Mandy was missing. And I was just like, what?
Mary Stavik called the police immediately. Within hours, a human tracker trained to read disturbed earth walked the stretch of Strand Road between Mandy's house and the point where she had last been seen. Halfway along the route, he found what he was looking for: tire marks at the edge of the road. A car had stopped. Footprints in the dirt. Someone had gotten in on the passenger side.
Alongside the vehicle was a ditch, and it was filled with water, silt. The family dog was cowering and wouldn't come with the tracker to go down, so we felt that she had been taken at that location. We thought the dog had been kicked into the ditch, and that's why the dog had silt.
What that scene told investigators before they even knew her killer's name was this: Mandy Stavik had not surrendered. Her dog had been kicked into a ditch. That meant Kyra had fought, which meant Mandy had fought first. The community did what small rural communities do. The neighbors came out. 15, 20 people walking the road, horses on the back trails. A patrol boat launched in the Nooksack, Mary Stavik giving a statement to a local news crew during the search, her voice already breaking.
I seemed to kind of wave between total denial and hysteria, and I haven't been able to sleep, and you remember all the things you read in the paper there.
November 27th. 3 days later, a Whatcom County patrol boat moving slowly down the south fork of the Nooksack River, 3.5 miles from Mandy's home. Detective Ron Peterson saw her first, face down, outstretched in the shallows.
November 27th of 1989 in the South Fork River.
Wearing only her tennis shoes, her socks, and her watch.
The boat spotted her body.
Mandy's body was found right here. She was facing downriver, outstretched, face down. She had tennis shoes and socks and a watch on, and that was it.
We could tell by looking at the body that she had not been carried very far down the river.
The news moved through the community in a wave. Doug, the band director, found out at an after-school staff meeting.
On Monday, after school, we had another staff meeting, and we kind of knew it might be bad news. And we went to the meeting, and it was announced by our principal that Mandy's body had been found.
At the Whatcom County Medical Examiner's office, the autopsy told a story that no one in the family wanted to hear, but that every detective in the room needed to read carefully. Detective Kevin Bohe later walking through what the coroner's report showed. And one more finding, the one that would matter most. The medical examiner determined that Mandy had been sexually assaulted, male DNA was recovered from her body. In 1989, DNA profiling was a brand new forensic science. There was no national database. There was no way to match an unknown sample to a name. But Detective Ron Peterson had just returned from FBI training on exactly this emerging technique. He preserved the evidence carefully. He froze it, he stored it.
We feel sad that she had to endure that, angry that it happened. She was probably terrified and running for her life.
Terrified, running for her life, and fighting back the entire way. Mandy Stavik did not know what DNA was. She did not know that the evidence left on her body would survive longer than her killer's freedom. She could not have known it would take 28 years to decode the message she was sending. But she sent it. From the grave, she spent the next 3 decades calling her killer's name. The man who did this believed he'd committed the perfect crime. He was wrong. The girl he had chased through blackberry bushes had left a signature on her body, and the state of Washington was about to hold on to it for as long as it needed to. The first suspect investigators pursued was not Timothy Forrest Bass, it was Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. In the late 1980s, Ridgway was operating out of the Seattle area, attacking young women in rural parts of Washington and leaving their bodies in waterways. The Mandy Stavik case matched his pattern almost perfectly.
There was a lot of suspicion by police that this murder was committed by the Green River Killer, who was later identified as Gary Ridgway.
But when the DNA was compared, it did not match Gary Ridgway. Whoever killed Mandy had not come from far away.
We did have leads, but they never really materialized into any real prime suspects.
Prosecutor David McEachran years later. 30 local men voluntarily gave DNA. None matched. Detective Kevin Bohe, a Mount Baker graduate who inherited the cold case in 2007, took the 7,000 pages of reports home and spread them across his living room floor. In 2010, he flew to Cambodia with an FBI agent to test one overseas suspect, not him. Meanwhile, Tim Bass quietly moved out of Acme to a different city in Whatcom County. He married, he had children. According to court records, he watched cold case television shows at home and told people he would never be caught. June 2013. Birch Bay water slides. A group of mothers had taken their kids out for the day. 2 of them, Heather Backstrom and Marilee Anderson, started talking about the unsolved case that had haunted Acme for 24 years. They had both carried the same name for decades. They had both been afraid to say it out loud. Anderson described a night Bass had come to her door uninvited, faked needing to use her phone, then cornered her when her husband was away. Backstrom described being 15 years old in a truck with Bass, then 21, rubbing a pen slowly along her knees. That incident had happened months before Mandy was killed. October 2013, Detective Bohe and Detective Ken Gates drove to Tim Bass's house. They asked him if he remembered Mandy Stavik. Bass looked up at the ceiling and said her name slowly, as if reaching for a distant memory.
Made the comment, oh yeah, she's the gal that they found in the river, right?
Detective Gates on what he saw in that moment. The detectives asked for a voluntary DNA sample. Bass refused. Gates on what Bass told them.
And saw innocent people go to jail. We left his house knowing that that was his frame of mind.
The detectives went to his employer. The employer refused and told him to come back with a warrant. A judge would not grant one. From 2013 to 2017, Detective Bohe followed Tim Bass on his delivery route, waiting for one moment of carelessness. Bohe remembering those 4 years.
Went out and followed Tim during his delivery route, waiting for him to discard an item which would have had DNA.
4 years, not a single item. But there was one person Tim Bass had forgotten to account for. She was not a detective. She was not a prosecutor. She was the woman who handed him his delivery schedule every morning. August 2017, Tim Bass's workplace in Whatcom County. Then a woman walked up to his vehicle. Her name was Kim Wagner. She was Tim Bass's supervisor. Bohe on what happened next.
In August of 2017, we had followed Tim on his route, and his supervisor made this statement, well, I know what you want Tim's DNA. And she said that she could get his DNA. She told me that she had a cup which he had drank from, as well as a Coke can that she had collected out of the garbage, which he threw away.
Wagner had watched Bass work every day for years. She knew his habits better than his wife did. She knew which cup he drank from in the break room. She knew which trash bin he dropped his empties into when he was finished. The plastic cup and the Coke can went to the Washington State Crime Laboratory. 4 months passed. December 2017. Bauhe returned to his office and was told the State Crime Lab wanted to speak with him. He called back. The analyst on the other end said,
the State Crime Lab wanting to know what my phone number was. I called the State Crime Lab and she said, Kevin just wanted to let you know that the DNA matched that of Tim Bass's.
December 12th, 2017, 8 o'clock in the morning. Tim Bass was walking from the warehouse to his delivery truck when 2 detectives stepped in front of him. Bauhe describing the arrest.
I asked him, you remember me? And he said, yes. He looked at us and said, well, what's going on? What's this about? And I said, well, I believe you know what this is about. And he was arrested.
It was in the afternoon. I was in the living room when I got the phone call, and he said, we found Mandy's murder. And the ironic thing was, it was my mom's birthday. We were notified on my mom's birthday, her 81st birthday, December 12th, 2017. It's like, man, what a birthday present.
Later that afternoon, Molly Brighton got a phone call at home. The voice on the other end said they had found Mandy's murderer. Then Molly looked down at the calendar. Doug, the band director, got the news by email in the same classroom where he had once taught Mandy. Tim Bass was brought in for interrogation. He denied everything. He said he had never dated Mandy, never had a relationship with her, only watched her basketball games. Then the detectives told him about the DNA match. Detective Gates on what happened to Bass's face in that moment.
Like he was trying to think of another story.
I don't remember giving DNA. What I'm trying to figure out.
Tim Bass had thought of everything: the gloves, the silence, the move out of town, the crime show research. He had never once thought about the woman who handed him his delivery schedule every morning. And now, sitting in an interrogation room for the first time in 28 years, he was about to try a third version of a story he had already told 2 different ways.
I've been told not to say stuff. And, with it.
Inside the interrogation room, Tim Bass was now trying a second story.
I slept with her.
After the detectives told him about the DNA match, he admitted for the first time that he had known Mandy and began suggesting the 2 of them had been in some kind of secret relationship. Detective Gates on what Bass tried to construct. Bauhe locked him in with a single question. He asked Bass to describe what Mandy was studying at Central Washington University. Bass had no answer. He had not been her boyfriend. He had been her stalker. When Molly heard what Bass was claiming, she was furious. 2019. Special Prosecutor David McEachran, the same prosecutor who had opened the case file in 1989, came out of retirement as an unpaid volunteer to finish what he had started 30 years earlier. At trial, the prosecution stacked circumstance on top of science. Bass's move out of the area, his famed memory, his lies to detectives, the pattern of predatory behavior the 2 women had come forward about in 2013. His ex-wife testified he had asked her to blame the murder on his own dead father. His younger brother, Tom Bass, testified that Tim had asked him to lie and provide an alibi. Molly, sitting in the courtroom watching Bass take the stand. May 24th, 2019. The jury returned its verdict: guilty of first-degree murder, guilty of special verdicts for first-degree rape, attempted first-degree rape, first-degree kidnapping, and attempted first-degree kidnapping. July 2nd, 2019. Judge Rob Olson sentenced Bass to nearly 27 years, the maximum allowed under the 1989 sentencing law. His tentative release date is January 2036. At the sentencing hearing, McEachran told the court, Mike Brighton, Molly's husband, read the family statement into the courtroom record. Tim Bass was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs, but the real ending of this story does not belong to him. It belongs to the women. Mandy Stavik did not survive her killer, but the evidence she left on her own body in November of 1989 did. It survived 28 winters in a Washington State Crime Laboratory freezer, waiting for science to catch up. Her mother, Mary, survived long enough to hear the words, "We found him," on her own 81st birthday. Mary on a case she had given up on. And 3 women in Acme, Heather Backstrom, Marilee Anderson, and a supervisor named Kim Wagner, did what 28 years of detective work alone could not do. They gave the detectives the missing piece. Each of them had once been afraid of Tim Bass. None of them were afraid anymore. Mandy's stepsister, Bridget Whitson, on the sister she refuses to forget. Her longtime boyfriend, Rick Zender, who still keeps the letters they exchanged. Detective Kevin Bohe, the Mount Baker graduate who had chosen Mandy's case, reflected on what justice even means in a case like this. Mandy Stavik was 18 years old. She was a star basketball player, a saxophonist, a girl who laughed on horseback in the Alaska snow. She had a mother who carried her across 2,000 miles for a better life. She had a sister who would never stop saying her name. Molly Brighton asked what she would say if she could speak to her sister one last time.